Welcome to McDonald's Coaches Bench with Coach Tygard here at Cleveland High School. Once again, thanks to Mark Smith and everybody associated with the area McDonald's restaurants for bringing you Coaches Bench each week with Coach Chandler Tygard. And Coach, a big victory last week to start the season. Impressive win. In my opinion, you go on the road. Let me put it nicely, sometimes not a hospitality environment, I thought, for some of us. But anyway, you go on the road, you overcome any obstacles about the trip up there, the game itself. You come away with a big win over Clinton.
Yeah, so we found out at 9:50 the night before that there wasn't a visitor's locker room near the field, so they wanted us to go to the middle school. So luckily, I'm good friends with Anderson County, who's their arch enemy down the road, and so we went and warmed up at AC and then showed up right before kickoff and didn't even have to worry about what kind of hospitality we were going to get from them. Didn't worry about their warm-ups. We were wondering where we were.
Right.
And we came out to start the game, got the onside kick, scored, went up 8-0, got a 2-point conversion, ready to play.
Absolutely. Before we go further, I need to recognize some guys. This program being recorded midweek here in Al Morris Jr.'s AD office, and we appreciate Al's cooperation and nice background for us to do the program. And also some guys behind the camera, Dale Halfacre's CHS Live crew doing the program each week for us. I want to recognize Ephraim Kyle, Silas Giannasso, and Carter Hahn. Guys, thank you very much for doing the work behind the scenes. The opening play, Coach Tygard, where your young sophomore kicker, Sloan, did a great job on the onside, to me kind of set the game the way it was going to be played. You recover, score, and just a great offensive night.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Sloan. So he made 2 field goals, 2 onside kicks. The other one we did where we hit number 50 in the leg, that was on purpose as well. So he's a weapon to have. And so to start the season, Clinton, they kind of heard that we've done onside kicks in the past, but they said they weren't convinced we were going to do it to open the season. But we got a perfect look. They only had a 5-man front line. Mm-hmm. Sloan made it look like he was going to kick it deep. Then he adjusted and gave us a perfect kick. And then, we got the recovery to start the game on their 30-yard line. Right. So it was a great way to start. And then, we had been saving a bunch of stuff in the summer for the season. The scrimmages, people kind of make a big deal about it when you win and a big deal about it when you lose scrimmages. But we don't game plan scrimmages. So right. we had a good game plan for Clinton, and I think you saw in the first drive, we hadn't been seeing this stuff. Mm-hmm. And they were surprised and caught them off guard. And, we went down and scored, and then we did our first of two-point conversions where we did the swinging gate from Chase Stevens to Lucas Szymborski to go up 8-0.
Totally caught them off guard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also I know a broadcaster that got caught off guard there on the first time you did that. I wasn't expecting it either. It worked to perfection though. Yeah. And in looking at some of the past schools you've been to and some of the things you've done, I think teams have to say he's going to pull out things that we haven't seen or thought of before. So they're really going to have to prepare for about anything.
And that's one of the reasons why we do it. So now we're playing McMinn County this week, and they're going to have to prepare for swinging gate, and they run that same formation. But it's 5 more minutes they have to practice. Their kick return team now is incredibly stressed because are we kicking it deep? Are we mm-hmm. kicking it short? Are we aiming it at somebody? We've got a lot of different tricks we can do on kickoff. We ran a reverse. We ran another little trick play, where LJ came up and snapped the ball direct. Yes. So we've got a lot of things in the bag, and we've done it now for a long time. And some coaches and fans kind of give us a hard time about it, but in reality, it's all this stuff you have to prepare for. And now you get our offense and defense and all these different crazy plays or whatever, but you only get 3-4 days to prepare. So it makes us a challenge to prepare for when you're going to play us on a Friday.
Just more things for them to worry about.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of my favorite questions as always, and I'll probably ask you most weeks this year. You know, the media, myself and others included, we're looking at the quarterback, the running back, the receivers, etc. Give us the names of a couple of guys who maybe didn't get recognition, maybe in the line or wherever, a couple of guys that deserve recognition for their play last week.
Well, going into the game, the talk out of Clinton was that they felt like our skill players could kind of match up with theirs, even though they had about 5 or 6 or 7 D1 guys. Ours were just younger, but they thought that they could win the battle up front. So the opening drive of the game, Stonewall Charette, Pancake's one of their best linemen, and he actually gets mad, throws a punch, and gets ejected. So Stonewall had an unbelievable game. He got a helmet sticker for effort. Will Brantley's moved to right tackle, and he's doing an incredible job. Nate Carter's a new left guard that came over from defense, and he came over late, but he's coming on really strong. Joster moved to right guard, and Neil Armstrong always holding it down at left tackle. Those 5 guys did an incredible job, and then Sam Sarton blocking, even though he's a very good receiving tight end. They did great, and then obviously on the defensive front, man, it's tough to tackle that quarterback. So we got after him all night long and tried to make it as hard as we could. But he's a quick guy. He kind of reminded me of Michael Vick video game style. And so, they got some points on broken plays, but we felt good that they didn't just line up and actually, run a whole lot of just successful offensive plays. It was more just broken scrambling, and that's hard to stop.
To me, the quarterback for Clinton, never had a moment's peace out there. From the time he got the ball on the snap, somebody was in his face chasing him one way or the other. Now, he did make some plays with his legs on the run and everything, but as far as having any friends on the offensive line, you guys were in his face chasing him all night long. He was constantly under pressure.
We put together a good plan to get after, and the problem was we can get the kids right there, but they still got to make the tackle. And so we had too many missed tackles. They'd flick it out to their running back who's going to Tennessee State, and we missed 9 tackles on one play. Sometimes it literally looked like a video game. So we're trying to improve our tackling this week because you've got a big physical team that's going to run the ball, and you got to tackle well. So we've got a big challenge this week.
We'll talk more about McMinn and Cleveland tonight at Raider Field, 7 o'clock kickoff. Remember, 7 o'clock for all Cleveland kickoffs this year. And be sure and be at Raider Field tonight at 7 because of the first half of the season. This is the only home game. So we need a big crowd at Raider Field tonight, and we'll be back with Coach Tygard right after this. Coach, and looking just at the stats from McMinn's game last week, they lose 41-21 to the Bears. Look at their passing stats. They didn't throw a pass. I mean, so I guess I'm a little surprised the team these days go through a whole game. I know they went to the wing T this year, but now how does that affect your game planning?
I mean, we take all that into account, but honestly, it's just they're playing a style of football that's similar to what we did in the second half against Clinton. We didn't throw a lot of passes in the second half. They're doing it for the whole game. So they're going to try to snap the ball with under 5 seconds left in the play clock, keep the game short, hold the ball, and then hopefully for them, it's close in the fourth quarter. They can make a play here or there and try to win the game close. Similar to Navy or Army or all the academies and what they used to do. So it's completely different than Clinton. Clinton didn't necessarily go fast, but they were going to throw the ball all over the place. This is the exact opposite. And in high school football, you'll see that a lot. You'll see just different styles. And, Bradley is kind of similar to us offensively. And so, you just saw McMinn really trying to hold the ball, get 4 or 5 yards a pop, and then take out the entire half if they can. And, with their personnel, I'm sure Bo Cagle figures this is his best chance of winning against people with skilled players like you have and other teams have. But it was just an interesting stat that they never put the ball in the air one time. And preparing for a wing tee, how much different is that compared to more of the open offense that most teams are going to this year? It's very different. So, you have to read your keys and your eyes have to be in the right place, because as soon as you look at the ball fakes or the quarterback's action or which way the fullback's going, and you're not looking at your guards, you're not looking at your halfbacks, that's when they get you. And so all it takes is one play for you to be undisciplined. And, they had a long touchdown run against Bradley in a similar situation. So you got to be one play at a time and 100% right. Because they are so strong on defense, they can hold the ball so well, and then they've got the best kicker we'll see all season. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, so he can hit a 50-yard field goal. So, if you onside kick and don't get it, they're immediately in field goal range, and you have to take all that kind of stuff into account.
Over the last 10 years probably or something like that, they have had some excellent kickers, and I wasn't sure this year's kicker came into that same category. You just answered that one real well.
He's one of the best ones in East Tennessee, and then he's a punter too, and he's punting 45-yard punts from the snap, so that's a 55, 60-yard punt in the air. So he does a great job. They're really well coached on offense, defense, and special teams. Their defense last year, they held 10 opponents to 14 points or less. So people are saying all of a sudden now this is going to be a high-scoring game, but we don't see it that way. And as long as you win, it doesn't matter if we win 3-0 or 49-36.
Absolutely. Cleveland won last year, and that game here at Raider Field 6-3. So low scoring last year, but a W is a W. Let's talk a minute. I guess one thing on my mind this week, all week long, has been the heat, how it's affected the players' practices, enthusiasm, and what do you think about tonight? Which, as we said, this program pre-recorded, and so as we do this, Friday's supposed to be another hot one. So how has things gone as far as heat goes?
So the coaches give me a hard time because they say, hey, Coach, it's going to be 100 degrees on Tuesday. And I always say, good. So we want it to be as hot as we can legally play. We want it to be as miserable and hot, and we're going to go as fast as we can go. And we always say that we're in better shape than everybody we play. We did run into some cramping issues last week, but we think we've got that handled now. And, they don't practice a team that's going this slow and holding the ball as fast as we do. So in theory, they're not going to be as in good a shape as we are. And so we want it to be hot and miserable, and we think it'll be an advantage to us.
I think your dream is going to come true because it's certainly going to be hot.
Good.
Al Morris Jr. will have the concession stand loaded with cold drinks and everything else, and so you can stay hydrated while you're watching the Blue Raiders hopefully come out with win number 2 in the year. And once again, this is for the first half of the year, this is the only home game. So be it Raider Field. We're going to have one more segment for Coach's Bench brought to you by Mark Smith and everybody at the area McDonald's restaurants. We'll be back right after this. Coach Tygard, my opinion, other people, I think, agree. A lot of talent on this year's team. A lot of your program is building enthusiasm. I was talking to Al before we started taping. The one thing that I see and feel is that the enthusiasm is building and coming back to Raider Field, and that's a big, big plus. And the Raiders are a dangerous team this year. And with that said, the first AP poll comes out this week. You get votes, and most of the people on your schedule get votes. Something that stood out to me in Class 6A, 4 of the top 8 teams after 1 week are in this region. And so there's not going to be anything easy, I feel, about this year. McMinn is rated in 5A. Red Bank is rated in 4A. So practically everybody you play this year, they're going to have a reputation. Now, always early season rankings don't pan out at the end of the year. But in looking at the AP poll this week, as I said, about everybody that you will see on Friday night, they have respect across the state.
Yeah, but we're kind of used to that. So a lot of my staff came from Murfreesboro, to where you had the top team in the state,
right,
multiple other teams. So in East Tennessee, if you're playing football and you're in our region, you're in the Murfreesboro region, even with Dobbins Bennett and Science Hill, all those teams are going to be ranked. And so we don't put a lot of stock into it. Somebody told me we got a vote or or whatever, but honestly, that it doesn't really mean anything. A lot of times the reporters, in my opinion, they just kind of cover their little areas. And so when you're voting on a state whole, unless you're watching games, which is very hard to do in high school, it's just kind of more reputation and who has the most kids getting recruited at the time. And a lot of times that doesn't have anything to do with winning or losing. So Clinton had 6 or 7 Division I players, but the team with the best or the most college players don't always win the game, or Maryville wouldn't have won all their state championships. So we don't put a lot of stock into it. We just got to take it, week by week.
As we get ready for the McMinn game tonight, once again, 7 o'clock kickoff at Raider Field. Did most people come out of the game last week fairly in good shape, or is there?
Yeah, we're perfectly healthy, other than just you start school and then now you've got sickness and people, strep throat and COVID coming back around and all these different things. So you're fighting that on a daily basis when school starts, and this is pretty typical. My wife's been sick all week, so it's going around everywhere, but it's next man up. And
let me move over a little bit away from Coach, just in case. No, I'm just joking. Yeah. But all right, so it's everybody will be ready tonight at Raider Field, and it should be an exciting game. As you pointed out, McMinn's thought process most likely is shorten the game, run the ball basically every time, and then try to be there in the fourth quarter and try to pull the upset. So I'm guessing tonight's game will not be the marathon that we had last week.
No, me and Al have been laughing. I kept telling him before the season, like, you just get ready because these games go long. And you saw the first quarter and how long it was against Clinton. I think it'll be the opposite against McMinn because we do run the ball. They run the ball. We just try to go faster, but it'll be a shorter game unless we are just playing unbelievable on defense. So it's going to be a tough challenge. Anytime you see a team that does the opposite of what you do, it comes down to who can execute their game plan better. And the way they play defense is a big challenge for our offense because they're going to force us to do things that we don't necessarily want to do. We're not going to be able to just line up and run over them like we did Clinton.
I see.
So it's a big challenge. And then, the way they play on offense and special teams, it's a challenge for those sides of the ball to read their keys and do their jobs. And, they've got an amazing kicker. We've got a great one too. But they've got a lot more seniors than we've got, in that part of the game. So it'll be a good challenge, good game. Home opener for the first home game in a while until Red Bank later on in the end of September. So we need a big crowd. We're expecting a big crowd. We've got both concession stands open. Sell plenty of drinks when it's hot. And we'll do some neat things, and we just hope that the kids put on a good show.
I'm sure they will. Be at Raider Field, 7 o'clock for the kick tonight at Benny Monroe Stadium, Raider Field. Concession stands fully stocked. You'll have plenty of opportunity to stay hydrated, enjoy a good high school football game. It's an old rival game. McMinn Cleveland go back to practically day one that Cleveland High started. So a lot of great games in the past. This will be another one. And next week when we talk with Coach Tygard, we're hoping we'll say, and Coach, you're 2-0 and another big game coming up. For Coach Tygard, all the guys at CHS Live, and AD Al Morris Jr., Terry Evans saying, see you next week.
Go Raiders.